Well, Valentine's Day is only a week away, and we thought there would be no better time to take a look at the state of marriage in America. Reel to Reel's Perry Lamkins has prepared a two-part series on the subject of marriage, specifically marriage as a sacrament, and he's with us now. Perry, it seems that whenever people talk about marriage, the topic inevitably changes to divorce. Why is that?
Well, that's because the projected rate of divorce still stands at about 50%. That percentage includes both marriages and remarriages, which is at a slightly higher failure rate.
Mm-hmm. Now, with statistics like this, why would two people want to enter into marriage to begin with?
Well, Sharon, the irony of it all is roughly over the past 30 years, 2/3 of both married men and women rate their marriages as very happy. So that begs the question, why is marriage on the rocks? For some, the perception of marriage is like a ship wrecked upon the rocks. For many adults, marriage is being put off until later on in life. Compared to 1960, the average age of marriage for women was 20, and for men, 23. Today, the age for women is 26, and for men, it's 27. For those with college degrees, marriage is being postponed even later. What is it about marriage today that has people looking down the road for happiness?
I think we hear the stories about those who rush into it and aren't prepared.
Ed Saunders is the director of Mass Catholic Conference, the public policy arm of the Roman Catholic Diocese. He is spearheading a statewide effort to strengthen the institution of marriage.
There's a commitment involved in marriage, and what is that commitment? It's a commitment to one another.
While it is true people are waiting until later in life to marry, marriage in general is in decline.
Bishops, as pastors and as teachers and as those who preserve the faith, are very concerned about this decline.
During the past 20 years, statistics have shown that Catholic marriages in the U.S. have gone from 340,000 down to 199,000. That's a 42% decline in sacramental marriages.
The Roman Catholic bishops for the last several years have been discussing the fact that there's been a significant decline in marriages here in the Commonwealth, in particular sacramental marriages within the Catholic Church.
In the Commonwealth of Massachusetts alone, marriages were down from nearly 50,000 to 35,000. The Catholic Church has seen an even more dramatic decline. During that same time period, there were 19,000 Catholic marriages as compared to 20 years later, when there were only 7,000 sacramental marriages. That's a 60% decline.
There's been a decline in society in general as to what is marriage and what is the meaning, and it's a vocation. The idea that it's a vocation appears to have been lost or disregarded.
On the national level, the decline in marriages, both civil and sacramental, is significant. But even more startling is the fact that Catholic marriages in Massachusetts are declining more steeply than Catholic marriages throughout the U.S. as a whole.
Young people today don't think twice about moving in together, living together, and it's very accepted in society today.
Doctors David and Angela Franks, teachers at St. John's Seminary in Brighton, shared their expertise and findings for the decline in marriage.
This, I think, is what the bitter fruit of the sexual revolution we're seeing. So marriage has been in crisis for a long time. We've seen different phases of this crisis, but the great watershed was the sexual revolution of the 60s.
There are several contributing factors that lend themselves to the failure of any marriage today. One factor occurs most often before marriage.
Well, cohabitation is definitely a factor, and we have this fear on people's part of marriage.
Since 1960, there has been an alarming decline in marriages. This result is due to an increase in the divorce rate, an increase in choosing to live a singles lifestyle, and most especially long-term cohabitation.
I think they think, well, I don't want a divorce. And so if I cohabit instead of marrying, then I won't divorce. And so they figure that that's the safe way.
Most people don't want to cohabit permanently. They eventually want to settle down with the right person. In fact, people who cohabit set themselves up for divorce down the road.
What we are finding is that people who cohabit are 50% more likely to divorce if they do marry, because they're practicing not committing.
In 2002, a study for the Archdiocese of Denver discovered that 65% of couples coming through a marriage preparation program were living together.
When you're in this cohabiting relationship, you're not learning how to be a good married person, which entails learning how to commit. What you're learning and practicing is how to not commit to somebody.
In fact, the number of couples living together has increased 1,100% since the onset of the so-called sexual revolution.
And while it seems like it's going to be a good idea, that it's going to be good practice for marriage, what we find is that it's really terrible practice for marriage and that people are much better off not cohabiting.
Living together and making a trial run at marriage may seem to make sense, allowing a person to screen out an incompatible mate. But the reality is 60% of couples who cohabit break up without marrying. According to the Franks, the real root cause of not finding happiness by living together lies in the ideology of sex without love. Many people do not understand the true meaning of love.
In a culture where we say love, 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 we have to slow down and be intelligent and say, what do you mean? Because love covers a lot of ground. The church is always saying, be intelligent. God has made you intelligent. Use your mind. Don't just go mindlessly through life following addictive desires. What is love here? It's emotions, yes, but more importantly, it's this commitment of the whole self that flows from being intelligently inserted into reality.
Love is about giving yourself. And not only is that what love is all about, that's what human happiness is all about, because we're meant for love. We're meant to give of ourselves.
Next week is St. Valentine's Day, when we'll look at a bouquet of reasons why marriage and our future depend on love.